Bonjour, everybody. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to Star Nation's radio network live streams on Facebook, and welcome to the Mystery School. And we want to thank you for being with us and coming to join us this evening. My co-hosts are Ortrun and Carl Franklin, and they're here. We're going to bring them on. Hang on. There we go. There they are. Hi, how you guys doing?
Great. Hi, everyone. It's wonderful being with you.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yes.
Yeah. On this night, Thursday, August 30th. Why do I have October in my head? I wonder what's going to happen on October 30th.
Right, maybe something special.
I hope so. So yes. What a wonderful evening here in Wisconsin. It's about 70 degrees still. It was a beautiful day. Sunshine, 70 degrees. What was it like by you guys?
About the same here, Neshi.
Did you experience any of those storms that came through?
Oh, yes, we did.
Three nights. I mean, the first night was just constant all night long, thundering and lightning, and for 3 days straight, basically, we had rain and thunder and lightning. So,
yeah, here in Wisconsin, not exactly where I live, but there was some flooding southwest of us and down near Madison, which is our capital. There was power outages and roads actually washed out and that kind of stuff. So it was actually, it was about 3 days for us too. Pretty intense storm. So again, welcome everybody. We got Rob is here. Rob Kendall's here. Good evening, Rob. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to start sharing out the show to all the places that I share to, and asking those who are with us in the chat room is to please also share. The reason why we do this, to share and like, is so that we're easier to find in Facebook. It puts the shows into the live stream, the news feed, much more often. And so it's kind of like being good to our community members who are searching for information, and so they can find us easier. So if you wouldn't mind doing that for us, we'd appreciate it. And as I'm going to segue off to do that, I thought maybe Carl and Ortrun could share a little bit about their school, their mystery school, and what is a spiritual family? We talk about that, but what is it? What is it? And I'll be right back.
Okay.
Well, to date, I've done, I don't know, somewhere around 3,000 life script readings for people over the last 25 years. And one of the questions we always ask is, who is in your spiritual family? And so the answers are fairly consistent. Number one, most of us have two guides from heaven. And in the heavenly realm, to be a guide for someone here in physical is, I understand, the most popular job there is. And to be a guide, you have to be a couple of steps ahead of the person you're guiding, all right? And also, if you did not evolve here on the earth, but came here from elsewhere, you will have 21 angels working with you. However, if you came from the angelic realm, you'll have not only 21 angels, but you'll also have an archangel working with you. And because all of the light workers, there's only one exception out of these 3,000 in my experience that evolved here in the planet. And so all of us light workers are descending beings. We came here from higher dimensions of space, or the spirit realm, or the angelic realm. And that's accounts for 90% of us, and 10% came literally from all over God's creation. Well, we're simply a fragment of the soul that we came from. And that soul is only a fragment of the soul from which it came. And most light workers will have anywhere 3, 4, or even 5 higher aspects of themselves. And these are the ones that we have evolved from, or our soul has. And they're learning through us. So they're always with us. They're always overlighting us and guiding us. And then we will have, in addition, when we're ready, we'll have at least, we'll have one or two master teachers. And a master teacher is someone who has graduated from the Earth School. And when we're really ready, we will also get an ascended master who's graduated not only from the Earth School, but from the Master's School. So these make up our spirit family, and they usually number between 25 and 30. So we have that many in what I call a spirit family, and Neshi calls it her spirit group. And most of them are with us 24/7. And whenever we want something that you feel they can help with, ask, because they're restricted by the law of non-interference, so they can't butt in. But if we ask, they're allowed to help. And in fact, they get a great deal of enjoyment and satisfaction out of helping. So we have this kind of, I'm going to say, wisdom, knowledge, expertise, power, and energy that we can call in anytime that we need it. And please, please use it. And if you pray, who do you think answers your prayer? Well, it's your spirit family. They're the ones that hear the prayer. And they love you more than you can ever love yourself. And your angels, for example, have been with you through multiple lifetimes. And your angels and higher aspects of yourself, they worked with you in planning this lifetime. They helped you work out your life script in terms of what you want to learn and the service you want to give here. And one of their primary jobs is to help keep you on script. Okay, so that's part of who we have. A very small part of what I call the entire spirit realm. Ortrun, do you have anything?
Well, I just want to add, because Neshi had asked about the mystery school, and so where the mystery school actually comes in is for us to actually recognize this what is a part of us, and because the mystery school is really us. We talk about the mystery school, and we talk about the outer mystery schools, the ancient Egyptian, and we talk about the ones from the Asian countries, and even into the religious sects of today. When you talk about the ones that are the inner, the contemplative, like the monks, they are actually attending what's called a mystery school. And what it is they've made this commitment that they want to delve into themselves. They want to, well, first and foremost, they want to know, you might call it God, creator, but in order to do that, they have to focus within. And that's what the mystery school is all about, is to focus within so that you can have and begin that communication with the higher aspects of your spirit family, which Carl just spoke about. So the mystery schools are really there to teach you that. Now, the ones that you see, the outer, the physical mystery schools, they have you go through all kinds of practices, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, because in order for us to be able to connect to that spiritual aspect of ourselves, the other aspects of us also have to be aligned. Mm-hmm. So some of the ways that you could start connecting, even before you even recognize that you want to be part of this inner searching and recognizing and knowing of who it is that you are, you start having gifts. Years ago, I was told that the third eye opens in stages. And the first stage was the psychic. And then the second stage was intuition. And the third was the spiritual. So someone whose third eye is open actually is able to traverse through all those different realms. And they can use all those different the qualities that they have accumulated through that time. So that's, but most of the time, people start with the psychic, and it's usually by the five senses, our five senses that we are, our hearing and our seeing and so on. But then, there's also, you delve a little bit more into the spiritual senses. That's the beginning. That's the psychic part of that opening of that third eye area. Intuition, so many of us have intuition, and we don't even recognize and know that we have that. So goes, of course, more into what's called the sixth sense also. So So that is a big part of us. But and then once we start trusting that intuition, because that is a step, it's one of those baby steps that we have to go through usually, to say, oh, I do trust. I trust there's something within me that is connected. But then the further you study that by actually starting meditative practices and taking time to go within and to listen and to ask, like Carl says, ask. But the thing is, if we don't do any of those things or even recognize that we are able to ask or how to ask, it's really quite hard to have that connection.
Yeah. That, listening to both of you, there's just so much in what you just said about our spiritual assistance, right? And that's one of the reasons why I really wanted to bring this topic in, is because in ways that we have communication with spirit, there's many different ways to communicate. And many, especially when we first start out consciously on our spiritual path, that we realize that we're here to accomplish spiritual growth, we tend to forget to ask for help in lots of ways, but especially to our spiritual family or spiritual team. Before we get much further down the road, I'd like to show a couple people that are here with us. Leanne, Mabi Soa is with us.
Good to see you.
Yeah, thank you. And Karen Phillips is with us too. Good afternoon or good evening, sorry, Karen.
Karen, good to see you again.
We also have Stephanie Williams with us. Hi, Stephanie. Welcome to the show. And we also, this is going to look a little funny, but this is Julie Hedges. And when she uses her phone, and I've noticed the same thing, when sometimes when we're a part of a page like this, it grabs the page name rather than our individual name. That's Julie. Julie's with us. And we also have Linda Grizik with us. Hello, Linda.
Great to see you. Part of this.
Yeah, she says, I love you and your message, Carl and Ortrun. Definitely. Most definitely. And Cindy Lynn just joined us. Hi, Cindy Lynn. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here. And see, this is Julie. Julie saying she's Julie. Hi, Julie. So with this topic about conversations, communications with the spiritual realm, I know that through personal experience and also listening to others talk when we're talking about spirit guides and such, I do know that sometimes we only ask for the certain ones to help us, and those are our go-to ones, right? That we ask all the time, like Archangel Michael or Mother Mary, or maybe it's a power animal or one of our ancestors. And those are the ones that we go to most often, sometimes all the time. And yet we have this whole range, this whole plethora of beings that are with us to assist us. Carl, when you were letting us know about who is on a spiritual family, there was multitudes that you mentioned. When we call to them to help us, like if we said, my entire spiritual family, please come, how has that felt for you? How do you feel when they're with you? And is it possible just to call them all in all at the same time? I suppose is a good question.
I work with them as a group. I really don't call upon individuals. Even on rare occasion, I'll call in on Archangel Michael, but only if it is something really, really extraordinary. I find that working with my spirit family, I can accomplish virtually everything that I need to accomplish. But I think that, Archangel Michael and Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary, I consider them to be, the big guns. And if it's an extraordinary situation, their energies may be warranted. but I think it's very rare.
We lost them. They'll be back. Let's see. They'll come back in. I don't know what happened. You never know. You never know what happens with the internet. They'll come back in though. We're going to take them and put them down in the lobby area, and they'll come back in once they figure out that they're not with us. In fact, you know what I could do is I could send them a messenger message and let them know that they need to go back to the link. Just click the link again. The show. And maybe by the time I come back in, nope, they're not back yet. Well, all right, we're going to have to pick up where Carl left off. One of the things that I noticed is that, especially when we're first starting out, is that we really, really want to know the names of our guides, of our teachers and the power animals, and, you know, get to know them almost like another human, right? And many of them, when you ask them, they'll tell you their names or give you a name of theirs. But truly, we don't even need to know their name. We need to recognize their frequency, their vibration when they're with us. But in order to ask for help, you don't necessarily have to know their name. And when I call in my entire spiritual team, it's just like that. You know, my entire team, please come, come close. I need help with such and such. Because we may not know that guide's name. We may not know that teacher's name or that angel's name, but they might be the ones that are best to help us. And we might not even know that they're there, right? If we keep going to the same ones all the time. And so this is how I kind of imagine it, right? As I imagine it is that we have these beings on our spiritual team and our spiritual family that were appointed to us because of our soul contract, what we're here to accomplish and to learn and to grow. And so they're able to help us with that. And yet they are complementary to each other. Okay. So their strengths help us along the way. And they're like this, I don't know, that they all work so well together, right? That's how I imagine it. And, I don't know, maybe they lost power. The other thing I can do is I can send a text message. I don't know if Ortrun will have her phone on, but we can certainly try, right? We can try. So, Ortrun. It's so funny. Technology is grand when it works. Ortrun, here we go. Just click the link back into the show. There we go. Hopefully they can contact me. We'll know what happened. What happened? There's with all the storms that were happening. I did notice the other day. I think it was like the second day or something like that. We had torrential rain here, and I noticed that my internet was kind of slow. And so I don't know. It could have been because of all the moisture. Hey, Holly, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. And Julianne, we'll let them know. We'll let Carl and Ortrun. I'll scroll back through once they get back, and we'll let them know that Tom and Julie also say hello. Okay. Thank you, Leanne. She says, I live north of them and it's a nice calm night here. Good. All right. Well, then it could be just their internet, really. And Karen says, would you like one of us to call them? Oh, now there's an idea. That's an idea. If you don't mind, we'll see how that goes, right? We'll see. I wonder, I'm going to try refreshing my screen. That could help them. Okay. So I'm just going to be gone just for a second, and I'll be right back. All right, we're going to go. There we are. You're back. I hope you can hear me.
Are we all back?
Yes, I just refreshed the screen here at the studio, and that seemed to help. We had a lot of helpers in the chat room. There's some people who live just north of you, and some of them know your telephone number, and they're willing to call you.
Oh, really?
But I did promise something here. Here's somebody that you know.
Hi.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, Tom. How are you? It's wonderful to see both
good to
of
see
you.
Yes.
Yes. How wonderful. It's been such a long time.
Yep. And Karen was offering. She said, "Would you like one of us to call them?" Yes. Everybody was pitching in. Leanne says, "Yay!" And Cindy says, "Well, hey, welcome back. Welcome me back." Yeah, there you go. So we are back. While you were over there, wherever that was, when you blinked out, one of the things I was chatting to our audience about is that sometimes when we call to our team to help, because Carl was actually had said something like that, is that you work with your entire family all at the same time, and so whoever is able to help you the best is the ones that help, right? And so I was just kind of explaining that when we call to specific ones, that we may have others that we're not aware of or don't know them by name, that have more experience or ability to help us more or better than the one we may have called. So, and I also mentioned that this is my belief, is that those that are helping us in spirit were assigned to us based on our soul contract and what we're here to do, and that they work together in concert with each other. And so when they do that, when they work in concert with each other, when we contact them, it makes our path a little bit easier when they're helping us. So that, I just wanted to get you caught up on what I said.
Okay, Neshi, I'd like to continue the spirit family.
Oh, okay. Your audio is cutting out just a bit. Could you say that again, please?
Yes, working with our spirit family, they have a dream for us and for themselves. And that dream is they would like to be one with us, one in consciousness, one in will, one in energy. Mm-hmm. They do not have physical bodies, only we have that. And if they want to do anything here on the physical realm, they need to do it through our physical body. Mm-hmm. It's important for us not only to ask them for the help that we might want, but to also invite them to use this physical vessel, this physical vehicle, to do what they want done here on the earth. And if we can achieve a state of at-one-ment with them, so that our mind merges with their mind, our heart merges with their heart, they can be so much more effective here, and which is going to make us so much more effective in fulfilling the reasons that we're here. Mm-hmm. And I am with you that I do not deal with names, because you have to have something to identify or attach that name to for it to have meaning. And what I seek the consciousness of them, their frequency, their energy, and what it is they have to say, and what it is they have to give, and their willingness. Mm-hmm. So by getting to know them as a being, I don't have a strong need for the name. Now, other people, that might be quite different, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to know the name.
Right.
But we always ask when we do a session, if someone says, what's their name? We say, well, you go within and you check and see
Yes.
what it is.
Yes.
Because we really believe that it's meant for their guide or guides or masters to tell them, their name if they're meant to know it. Because I agree with Carl. For me, it's not important that I know the names
Right.
at all. And even when I do work with individuals, healing work and such, I call all their family in to be part of that session. And I call also upon the appropriate healers to come in, the ones that are appropriate for them. And that doesn't necessarily now mean that it's that direct family that they are with most of the time. It can be someone else that knows a vibratory frequency of something better than the next, because there are so many angels that we're not even familiar with their names.
Right.
And they have all these different abilities. So, and abilities for different health situations. So to call upon the ones that are appropriate to be there at that particular time to work with them, I think it's very, very important to do that. Because, and the other thing I want to mention is that, we do have a family that comes in with us, as you mentioned, that was assigned to us. But yet there are others that come and go in our family. It's sort of like what they say. There's a reason or season or lifetime. It's that kind of a thing with the angelics or the masters and the guides also, because some will come in only for a certain period of time, depending on what it is that you are working upon that particular time in your life.
Right.
Whether it is healing, or whether it's some kind of a different growth. Maybe it's to do with your physical body. To get it stronger. Yes, it sounds health again, but to be able to focus into a different level of a goal that you want to achieve. So there are different ones that will be coming in and coming and going all the time.
Yeah.
So trust your inner self. What I do like to do, though, is I do like to have it basically be overseen by the I am presence of my being, or my higher self. I can call that also the higher self, so that the ones that are being monitored, that are coming and going, are the appropriate ones, but there is someone that is overseeing the whole thing and seeing that they are saying, okay, it's time for you to come in. Okay, it's time for you to come in, because they're the ones that will know better than I would to ask for someone to come in.
Good point. Good point. You know what that reminded me of is a long time ago when I was studying soul clearing and learning how to do that. There's an aspect of that work where we are getting to know our spiritual team, our spiritual family. And the way it's described is that since we're the ones that are in physical form, that it's the that they can't do the work for us, right? That we have to do the work and have the experience. And many times we can actually ask our team to a team meeting or a family meeting and say, this is what my intention is. This is what I would like to do to experience whatever it is, right? And I want everybody to be on the same page. This is the direction we're going in. And please let me know what my next best step is to achieve this, and that way that we're all on the same page. And like you said, Ortrun, that it almost feels like a concert, like there's a conductor, and telling certain ones to play now and others to play softer and that sort of thing. And so we can actually ask them to do that. And the other thing is that sometimes we unintentionally put somebody on our team or on our family because we've called to them for help. And lots of times it's when we're going through a crisis of some sort, an event. And a lot of times it's like, especially when you're in pain, right? It's like you just want somebody to come and help. And so you're calling, I need help. Somebody help me. Now, Aunt Gertie, who just passed away, loves you dearly, but she might not be vibrating at a high enough frequency to really be extremely helpful to you, but she comes because she loves you, and so she's going to try to help you. And we unintentionally have her on our team, but her frequency isn't resonating well with the rest, and so we have to say thank you very much, but could you step over here now? I'm glad you came, but now you have to step over here. And I don't know how you feel about that or what you think about that. It'd be interesting. But that was one of the things that I learned years and years ago about our spiritual teams.
Well, yes, I think you're right there. And please know that there are many, many people on the heavenly realm that love you and that very much want to help you. And they check in on you from time to time. And if you have any deceased loved ones that you feel can help you with whatever situation you might be in, please invite them to help you with that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so that, you're not going to tie them up for the rest of their time in eternity. All right. But Neshi, I'd like to expand this a little bit.
Sure.
In terms of the spirit realm, we would, I think, roughly define a spirit as anything that's not physical.
Mm-hmm.
And we are filled with and surrounded by spirits that are, I'm going to say, less evolved than we are, but yet our physical life depends on them.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. And these, I'm going to refer to them as divas, spelled D-E-V-A.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And they're also known as spirit beings. And it is my belief that everything in creation, from energy on up, is built on a spiritual basis. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And our spiritual basis as a human being is our soul.
Yes.
Okay? But within our physical body, there is a spiritual basis for our heart, our brain, our lungs, and literally everything that makes up our physical body. And many of these are divas.
Mm-hmm.
And if a person is having a physical challenge, if you ask your spirit family, almost all who have never been physical for help,
Mm-hmm.
they're limited.
Yes.
Talk to the divas within your body and ask them to do what is you want done or to stop doing what you no longer want to done. And it is the divas that are the ones that really can change the physical functions of the organs of our nerves, of our brains, etc., within our body. So talk to them. And if you need help, know that there's a hierarchy in the Divic system. Archangel Pan is the head of, okay? And we, again, nature spirits. And there are divas between in all of nature too.
Yes.
Okay. And so anyway, talk to the divas. Yes. And you can even talk to the air divas and the water divas regarding storms.
Yes.
Regarding droughts, regarding hurricanes, regarding tornadoes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I totally agree. In fact,
go
ahead.
From personal experience, the effect that we can have is just absolutely tremendous working with the divas in terms of things that are in nature and our physical health.
Right.
I agree with what he's saying, but also I believe that there's a hierarchy of who you work with, because first and foremost, and we just talked about this actually the other day because there's someone that came to us or that has cancer at this point in time. And we spoke about different ones that could be helpful. But first and foremost, it's your intention,
Your desire.
your desire. But the thing is that you have to have the correct desire. You can't just ask for a healing because it has to be because you want it to be of the highest good, or that you want it to serve a purpose. So it isn't just because of an ego type of a thing that you want to be healed, because you may be healed, but it may not be a complete healing then. So if you want a complete healing, you take a look at all those different, the divas and the masters and the angelics and the higher ups, even the archangels, so that you're working with all of them, that it's aligned, so that whatever level there's something that is causing an interference to keep you from being able to have that healing, so that is also being looked at and also being worked upon. Yes. So you are the one. You're really that physical one that's here on this earth plane that's got to set the intention and actually have the correct intention.
Right.
Of not actually, oh yeah, I just want to quickly get healed. That's not a good intention. I want to be healed properly
and completely. Right.
Completely. Right. So you can get a quick fix, but then there it is again. Before you know it, something of the same sort will come up again, and it's possible, to cure cancer if you do it on all those different levels, because emotional, physical, spiritual levels, there's so many different aspects what may have brought that about, little learning that we're of course meant to receive from that, and what it is that we're going to be sharing and giving because of that, the outcome of that.
Yeah. This is good stuff. I can feel our audience going, yeah. In fact, Molly says, I definitely needed to hear that. Okay. So, yes. And, and I think that when we try to put a definition on our spiritual family or spiritual team and in our human mental mind, to try to get an understanding of them, is that our mental mind is limited, and we really don't, in our mental state, don't really understand the number and the layers of our spiritual family, our spiritual team. Because I also include, yes, I do definitely include the devas and nature spirits. I also include our power animals, all of our relatives, the trees and the water and the whole thing, because what we do here as spiritual beings in a physical life, we need all of them to help us. Yeah, we do.
And they need us too.
Yes, because we're a part of nature. We're not separate from it. Right.
Well, one of the examples is, because of my surgery, I can't work in my garden as much. And Carl has been doing really a great job taking care of it. But
until these storms came.
Well, it needs a little help again. But the thing is, he's doing a great job, but it's not the way that I work with the garden. So there is definitely a difference, but it still looks really good. And so even just a little thing as doing the deadheading, the way that you do the deadheading, he, of course, he's impatient, so he takes the scissors and cuts. And to me, when you're doing the deadheading, you are transmitting that energy between that plant and yourself. That is so much more of a powerful thing, and they react to that as we're reacting to their love that they're giving back to us, instead of having to go through the metal that's being used with the scissors. So
it's like
there's
surgery.
ways of doing things, not that it doesn't look good, but there's a difference in the whole feeling of the garden when you're doing it the other way.
That's a great point, really. It's a great example, because we can get it done and get it done quickly, actually, with the shears. But when we take our time to actually do the deadheading or whatever it is with our hands, we're actually connecting spiritually in all our ways with that plant. That is a great example.
What does that say about commercial farming?
Oh my God.
Oh, boy.
Well, Patty Heredia wrote an article for the September issue of Star Nations magazine, and she kind of talks about that in there. And it's a very interesting article about the medicine of the plants and the medicine of the foods and that sort of thing. She touches on that. It's an eye opener.
Yeah.
There was another piece that I was thinking about, and we kind of mentioned it before the show, because I want to make sure that we have time to cover that piece. I'm curious. I like to watch and see how something unfolds. I like to ask questions and that kind of thing, and get into these kinds of conversations. One of the things that I had mentioned to both Ortrun and Carl before the show is, I said, I've always wondered, I wonder what it looks like from our spiritual family's point of view in that conversation when we're making a request for help, or even if we're just trying to, understand something. And so it looks like we're talking to ourselves, but we're not. We're talking to them, right? And I always wondered, almost like in a childlike kind of curiosity, I wonder what it looks like from their perspective, from their point of view. Do you have any sense about that?
What about that, Carl? Because you said you talk to them all the time.
I do, but I've never thought about it. What I feel is an awful lot of love coming from them. Yeah. And I feel a lot when I ask for help, I feel literally gratitude coming from them because of asking, because if they get so much enjoyment out of being helpful to us, it's almost like, we're their children. And if you can imagine your teenager coming and asking you for advice, all right, well, they feel the same way when that happens to a parent, So I think that anyway, just the love and I think that they feel pain when they could help and we don't ask.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least there's certainly disappointment there, because then they have to watch us suffer. And I think our suffering is painful for them.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes they're probably a little frustrated with us also, right? Because come ask us anyhow. And, they're having to hold back and be patient until we are actually ready to come and ask them.
I've never experienced anger from them, though.
No. The synchronicities, the symbols or the signs that we get, I believe come from them, right? And so I have a very active imagination. I have an imagination that they'll show me something, and either it's so subtle I don't see it, or I see it and I say, I don't want to do that now. I'm not going to look, and so they keep showing it to us in different ways until we actually notice it, take notice. And especially when they've been through this for some time, and now it's imperative that we turn our attention to whatever it is, and then they get a little bit more overt with it. That's what we call the cosmic 2x4. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, all right, we've tried so many more ways, and now we have to get her attention. So this is what we're going to do. And so that now they have your attention, right?
Yeah. Are there anybody listening do you have any comments or any questions?
Excuse me. Julie is saying this is so valuable, a perfect discussion.
Well, thank you, Julie.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. So those in the live chat, do you speak to your spiritual team or your spiritual family? Do you ask them for help? And if so, you know, what's their response? How do you feel when they're with you? Because just recently I was one of my coaching clients. We were having a discussion, and she is one of those that was only calling to a certain ones on her team, on her family. And so we just did an exercise. I asked her to close her eyes, take a deep breath in, bring up grandmother earth energy and bringing down creator energy to get grounded and balanced. And I said, with your eyes closed, I'd like you to ask for your entire spiritual team, your entire spiritual family to come, so that you can sense what it's like to be with them in their entirety. And she did. And her response to me when she was describing it, and she says, it just feels so full. There's so many.
Yeah.
And yeah. So I said, you know, it's a relationship. And like all relationships, we have to nurture it, right? They like to be, just like anybody else, they like to be thanked.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Thank you is important.
Yeah. Neshi, there's something else I think we need to talk about, and really basic. How do you communicate with your spirit family, and how do they communicate with you? Okay. For me, the most effective communication takes place in a meditative state. It's a lot easier for them to communicate with us through our subconscious mind than it is through our conscious mind. Yes. But in the meditative state, you're working out of both conscious and subconscious together. So your conscious mind is aware of what is coming through your subconscious. All right. And if you want to communicate with them, that's also true. So the meditative state is, to me, it's the best way to do that, the most effective way to do it. Prayer is I'm going to call it a half-hearted way, because you're working only out of your conscious mind, and prayer is a monologue, whereas meditation is a dialogue. You could back and forth, and you can hear, but in a prayer you say amen, and it's like hanging up the receiver. Yeah. And if they answer, you weren't listening.
Yeah. True. Okay. Very true. Very true. All right. So Rob is saying in the chat room, but I've talked with my spiritual family and I pray to angels every day.
Wonderful.
Yeah, excellent.
And to have it a daily practice is best. Now, there's something else that I find it makes this more effective. When I go into meditation, before I talk to my spirit family, I ask, well, I shouldn't say before, because I'm actually talking to them at this point too. I ask them for their help in opening wide all of the chakras and energy centers in all of my bodies, and helping to raise them to the highest possible frequency and keeping them there throughout the day.
Yeah.
Okay. That way I'm able to send and receive, not only with them, but also with the earth, also with the divas. Right. And asking them, not asking, but letting them know, hey guys, this is not my body. This is not my emotions. This is not my mind. This is yours. Please take and use it. Please fill it with what you want to fill it with, and express through it what it is you want to express.
Yeah, very similar, really, very similar. I ask that I'm using as close to 100% of my gifts as possible, and to help me to have my chakras balanced and open to be able to do that. And so talking with them, a lot. So, and here's Leanne. Leanne is saying, I think I received a synchronicity when Neshi was talking earlier about the guides and angels being conducted, like someone is conducting them. My aunt, deceased, came through in a reading last week that I had with Thomas John, and told me that she is trying to contact with me. She was a classically trained musician and a conductor. Don't you just love that? Thank you for sharing that, Leanne. Thank you for sharing that. Gosh.
So what fun, isn't it, to get it that way too, to have that connection when find something like that out also.
Yeah, they can talk to us anytime. And I agree with you, Carl, that, I think the optimal time is when we're in meditation, when we're quiet, when we're in the silence, and we can hear, see, or feel them so much better.
Yes.
But, they can contact us anytime. I had, in the middle of, Paul and I this is years ago, went to have dinner, fish fry, Friday night. And of course it was busy, right? And so we had to wait for a table. And so we're waiting in the bar. And he and I were just talking about, our week and our day and that kind of stuff, getting caught up. And it was, it was like somebody stepped right next to me in between Paul and I and said rather loudly, Albuquerque. And so I looked at Paul and I said, did you hear that? And he said, oh my God, what'd you hear now? I said, somebody said Albuquerque really, really loud. And he says, well, you can't go there until you know how to spell it. Now, at the time, I didn't know that was a bar thing, that. So anyway, and that was before I started using Google. That was years ago. And so they can come through any time. In meditation, this was 2 years ago, I think. One of my guides, a new one, actually, I think she feels more like a teacher than a guide, came in and said her name really loud and said it to me 3 times. And on the 4th time, I could feel it kind of sink in, and I could feel her. And she helps me with verbalness, messages, that kind of thing. And so you're right, so much easier in meditation. But they can come through anytime.
They certainly can. And if you haven't gotten to the point of where you are actually doing the meditations, they come through any time that your mind is somewhat bored. Because, we talk about that, they can be coming through when you're doing dishes, and all of a sudden there's a thought that flashes into your mind.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned, with all your senses, it can come in. And all of a sudden there's this inner knowing. All of a sudden there's something you just know. You're just so certain of it. Those are all the ways they're communicating, and it can be smells. It can be a leaf that's on the tree, and it's like our one grandson, he passed away when he was 10, and his parents are very close to him, and they'll see an A in the tree, in the leaf of the tree, and then, oh, he's here now, So there's communication going on all the time in so many different fashions, and to recognize it. But the main thing is for us to become open to it.
Yes.
Because for really, it's oftentimes we aren't. You get to a point where you are, all of a sudden you become open and you recognize communication can occur everywhere. And the dream state, that's another way, of course, that communication takes place.
Yes.
And you can be given tremendous insight. And I've had dreams where it's done neurologically, and all of a sudden it went through all these different numbers, and there was the final number, and there was the answer. So, and then our one son, he has dreams, and I can't believe how specific his are. So it's just synchronistic. And he calls me, and he'll say he's had this dream, and I'll say something. Yeah, he said that's what I thought too. It's just interesting how clear his are. Where others are subtle. They come through with, like I said, numerology. Numbers were there all over the place, and it came through that way. So you just don't know how it's going to come through. But the main thing is for you to be open to receiving those messages. And, many of us, or at least I hear many people say, they can't meditate. I just want to let you know that anytime that you are quiet at all, you are in that meditative state. Right. So, and of course, nature is always the easiest form of meditation, is to go out into nature and to sit in the woods, sit in front of the water on the beach or anywhere else. And because that's when that mind does get bored, your brain gets bored. And then these beautiful messages come in. And then maybe all of a sudden you start seeing all the sparkling of the waters. And it's really, once you are more aware of it, you recognize it's really the spirit, the nature spirits that are there dancing around. They're dancing around, and you can see them.
Yeah.
vibration, things of that sort. It's wonderful.
Julie is saying, Carl Ortrun, you amaze me. Thank you. And she also has a question. She says, how do you know when it's time to change your daily practice?
When your daily practice is no longer satisfying to you, and at that point, please ask your spirit family for their suggestions as to what your new practice should be.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm.
Now, there's one last thought I would like to share here too.
Sure.
And that is one thing that is utterly impossible, and that is to be alone. None of us are ever alone. There are always, without exception, spirit beings with us, whether we're awake, whether we're asleep, whether we're happy, whether we're sad, even when we're depressed.
Mm-hmm.
And our job is to be aware of that, to tune into them, and to ask them for what it is we need to pick us up out of the doldrums or whatever we're feeling,
Mm-hmm.
or to share our joy with them. Okay?
Yes.
But just to know that you're always surrounded by these beings, and these beings are radiating energy.
Mm-hmm.
There's the light, there's the love, there's the peace, there's the joy. And I just don't hang out with any beings that don't have positive energy. All right.
Uh-huh.
It really is life enhancing. I tell people that I live in two worlds, and I really do.
Mm-hmm.
I live in the physical world, and my job is to help ground their energy into this world.
Right.
And if I need their help to do that, I ask for it. And my job also is to provide this physical body that has strength and wisdom and openness and love that they can express through it.
Mm-hmm.
So just to become one with them, and literally always possible.
Right.
And I wanted to mention, Carl mentioned about aligning, and you're also aligning and opening your chakras,
mm-hmm.
and doing that mainly in the morning, and then that helps to carry you through the day because you're aligned. I also want to recommend that be done before you go to sleep, as you're going to sleep at night.
Yes.
Because you're also doing all kinds of traveling. You're doing all kinds of communication, and you want to have your team with you then also, because you want to be taken to the places that are the most appropriate for you, and the schools that are most appropriate. Yeah. Because if we don't use it, in a sense, that's a protection that we're calling in. It's important for us to have our guides around us and our masters to be our protection, so that we are always being led into the places that we are meant to experience and visit. And then we're safe. We feel safe. We feel safe when we go into that dream state, or whether we are walking down the street during the day.
It's not just a matter of being safe, but please keep in mind, your subconscious mind never sleeps. It's on 24/7 from the moment of birth till the moment that you leave your physical body. And the only thing that happens in sleep is your conscious mind has clicked off. Okay, and with the subconscious mind, you're able to experience and express in a world different than just the physical world. And who's expressing through you? Your spirit family.
Actually, other parts of you. Yeah. That's a totally different subject again, because every one of these ones that are a part of your spirit family, they really are you. Because so it's so deep. You can go so deep into this whole spirit topic in any direction. So there's always more to learn, and that's what's so wonderful about this whole arena.
Yeah. Okay, so before we say goodnight, I just wanted to acknowledge some of the people who are answering the question we put out there. Lisa says that she has a lot of conversations while driving.
Good. I do too.
Yep. And so does Julie Hedges. She says they love to talk to me when driving and in the bathtub.
There you go.
Yep.
I just hope you're not doing both at the same time.
It's a little difficult, right? And Holly says, I hear a lot when I'm running water.
Okay.
Interesting.
Interesting. Yep. Yeah. And Rhonda is saying, thank you.
Well, you're more than welcome.
And Melissa is agreeing. Absolutely. Absolutely. When she was talking about the protection at night before
Uh-huh.
we go to sleep.
Mhm.
Yeah. And here she's saying mostly right as I'm falling asleep. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yes.
Isn't this an interesting conversation and just sharing, our experiences with it and to be able to express that our spiritual team, our spiritual family is with us all the time, 24/7, 365, all the time.
Yes.
Mhm. And what a good feeling and knowing that is.
Yes.
I agree. I agree. So before we say goodnight, Carl and Orchard, do you have any final words like you'd like to share with everybody?
Yes, please, to the best of your ability, acknowledge, recognize, and communicate with your spirit family. Invite them to become one with you and be open to become one with them. That will greatly enhance the quality and the productivity and the happiness in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with Carl. I think exactly what he says is so true because the more that you become aware of them, and the more that you communicate with them, the easier it is to be them really and truly. I mean, that's what you do because you allow them to be expressing through you. So it is really a beautiful, beautiful journey. And some of you that are listening may just be beginning this journey. And there might be at times feelings of confusion and fear about it. But recognize if you surround yourself, protect yourself, and ask that your divine ones be with you when you're experiencing something, that you are safe, and move into it, breathe into it gently, and allow it to become part of you.
Now, those are some really great parting words. I love that. I do. And I just wanted to add is that our relationship with our spiritual team, our spiritual family, is like any other relationship that we have, and to nurture it, to love it, and to be grateful and appreciate that they're there to help us.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of love going on with them. Yeah. Yeah. And so thank you all for being with us tonight, and those who will be watching the recorded show. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And the Mystery School will be back again next month in September. Can you believe it? September. With another very cool topic, I'm sure. So thank you, Orchard and Carl, for being with us tonight. We appreciate it.
Hey, we send our love to each and every one of you
Yes.
and be in peace.
Mm-hmm. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.